Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Nino. I run an enterprise-focused venture fund called Sapphire Ventures that focuses on exceptional entrepreneurs trying to disrupt the enterprise IT space, like Roy and his co-founder Eran over here. I'm sorry, I missed a show of hands of who actually here has heard of Monday.com. Would you guys mind repeating that? All right, so quite a number. Good. Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here with Roy, CEO of Monday.com. We've had the great fortune of leading a $150 million financing for the company recently. Company's based in Israel. And so Roy, tell us just a little headline thing or two about Monday to get the audience warmed up.
Okay, so first of all, it's not a project management tool like they introduced us with. We're very good at project management, but so it's work operating system. That's like what I don't know if you got to see the billboards. We took some of them.
It's hard not to. It's hard not to.
What? It's hard not to? Okay, so that's a good job we've done. So we started, so Monday is essentially a platform that people can, any team can manage pretty much everything they want to with us. We have like a lot of R&D teams, marketing teams, sales team running on us, HR, and we have people building airplanes, running manufacturing plants, doing clinical trial research, and then hotels, restaurants, like really everyone, because you can build your own process on Monday and manage the team the way you like to and at scale. And that's like...
That's great. And give maybe the audience a little bit of sense of scale and size of the organization. One of the things I find amazing about Monday, and I've been on the board of many companies, I get a daily SMS with how the company is done in the last day. Not mind you week or month or year, but every day I get an SMS. So a little bit of a radical transparency at work there, but give us a little sense of the scale of the organization.
So we started at 2014. That's where we launched the first product, and since then we grew relatively fast. Last year, like at 2018, like the beginning, we started with 50 million ARR. 2019, we finished with 120. So we jumped from like 50 to 120 million ARR, and before that we were at 18. So 18 to 50 to 120. We now have over 100,000 paying companies in over 160 countries.
Wow. And
with over 200 different business verticals. It's probably everyone, because the category is so big, like of work and of, managing teams and processes. Yeah. Basically, everyone is doing it. So our target audience is everyone, information workers. It's 1.3 billion information workers.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so talk more about this work OS definition of the category. I found it interesting in terms of choosing sort of to redefine or define a category at this large size. Companies typically do it sometimes earlier in their life, but you've kind of waited for the right moment. And tell us a little bit, what about the company right now makes it the right time for you to come out and define
so we
a
need
category?
to talk about the history. So like for all our life, when we went to raise money, people like, it's really hard to raise money, especially in the beginning. And in the beginning, they looked at us and said, project management. Every investor kind of got burnt from investing in some productivity tools, so like they didn't want to invest, and they couldn't make out who we were. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's like project management, but not project management, and it was really difficult. And throughout time, we really struggled in explaining in one sentence what the company does, because essentially it's a platform that people built their own management tool. And obviously it has a lot of, you can manage process, orders, projects, events, HR, and there wasn't a name for it. So we waited for years to someone to define it, and we're not alone in this category. And now there came a time that it made sense, so we kind of picked up the glove and named it WorkOS, and we have other players in it as well, like you mentioned, which is like unique that we didn't say we are the only one.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so
Yeah, typically.
we have Airtable, Coda, Notion. We feel have the same idea of giving people the tools to solve their own problems, rather than we're very different companies, each one of us in terms of like go-to-market. But the idea of changing software, which is kind of like what this says, it's happening with the movement of like giving users the power to define and craft their own destiny in the tools they use, rather than you have to fit yourself to the software and use a rigid software, and when it's not good enough, you need to switch.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that's what one of the things that appealed to me tremendously about Monday is this idea that for the repeatable processes that are standardized across companies, you have big companies, you have Salesforce, you have SAP, you have Oracle, Workday, and many others, but still most of the work happens outside of those standard processes. It's email, it's Slack, it's Hall conversations and Excel spreadsheets still. And so having a system that allows you to enshrine some of those custom processes as well is super interesting. But talk to me more about this platform company concept. I think this is a new thing for Monday, new initiative. Obviously, the holy grail for every software company is to become a platform company and have other companies built on top of it. Why now, and why do you think Monday is ready to be a platform company?
So I think we're part of a bigger movement of really empowering users. You see that with designers, for example, there's a lot of tools that enable them to be more powerful, like developers, let's say, and that they can do mock-ups and take things more forward. And we see that we always had that mindset of giving people power. And how do we kind of like democratize software and allow people to do it? So essentially, we've always been that sort of platform. And today we're opening it up for developers to build on us and really like, if we can do it, they can do it in terms of building blocks. Like we will develop the same building blocks as the community. Yeah. And you know, it's another step in the evolution of opening up the platform and being really like allowing people to do whatever they want.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, in terms of transparency, you know, very few people probably came up here and shared their revenue run rates. Tends to be more of a secret hush thing here in the Valley. Can you talk a little bit more about the transparency? I found you guys to be some of the most transparent company. It feels like all your employees know everything that's going on in the company, all the metrics. Maybe share a little bit about that philosophy.
We have like just like in the office we have hundreds of dashboards showing every metric we have on everything, like from how much money we have in the bank to ARR, new signups, everything. And like also people who come to interview in the office like see those stuff. It's like, so we started off being transparent. When we were like small, 5 people, and we never found a reason not to. So that's how we came to, and it only gave us really positive things. For example, everyone knows everything, so if there is a problem, we all come and fix it. It's not up to some person to say, hey, there's a problem, convince other people to do other stuff, like really making a point. Like it's enough that one person sees it and then like everyone comes in the morning. So like for us, it was always about ownership, passing ownership to people, making them feel it's theirs. And it has to do with everything. It's not just the numbers, it's also the cleanliness of the office.
Sure.
Okay, it's like the, you know, if they, I don't know, break things. We get like a really expensive laptop, so if you break it, you can take another one, it's fine. Like you can take 20. Just know how much money it costs. It's your company, you can do whatever you want. So that's like passing the ownership to the people that they feel it's theirs. And it also means that we need to allow them to do whatever they feel is right with guidance. But everyone is like really driven to do impact in what they believe in. Like, so that's ownership that we don't get to decide. I don't get to tell people what to do.
Of course. Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, in the Valley here, OKRs have become a big thing over the last 5-10 years, and managing by objectives, but also key results sounds like it's something you've done always. Are there any pitfalls for folks here to consider if they think about going the radical transparency and sort of management by metric way?
So I think managing by metrics is like the crudest form of transparency. It's like telling people where to go and not how to get there,
Yeah.
and it's really good. You give them autonomy, you give them a way to do what they believe in. Um, you, it's a longer term. You need to like think about it in a like. I can give an example. I've done like a gazillion A/B tests in my life,
Yeah.
and after a while, you figure out like some stuff that makes sense. You know, like write the text in a clear way, make a very pronounceable call for action, and then you see someone doing not that. So you're like, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
Um, but how will they learn? I never learned from someone telling me what's right and what's wrong. I tested it. So how are we as a company willing to give people the ability to make more mistakes?
Yeah.
And we pay for it. Now, like you put a landing page out with
Yeah.
that problem, it costs like tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So like, but they're only going to learn if they're going to try the stuff they want to learn. And you know, miraculously, everyone is making the same mistakes in the beginning.
Yeah.
So there is a tension about that, but I would always prefer to teach someone by letting them try it out and see what works and what's not, as long as it's contained. So you need the frameworks for it, you need the operation for it, you need to. I can tell them, you know, I think it's not going to work because this and that, but then at the end they're going to do whatever they want, and a lot of them do whatever they want.
Of course.
And the cool thing about that is that sometimes I'm wrong. And that's really great because like now I'm wrong more, more and more I'm wrong because we're
Yeah.
inventing a lot of cool stuff. But that's what you gain from it. That's like it's freedom because I don't need to
It's
follow
fascinating. I mean,
that. And
this philosophy is so embedded in the company. I actually, in my 22 years of doing this, I've never seen another company actually build software to track all these analytics and A/B tests. Do you mind
yeah.
sharing a little bit about
So
Big
we
Brain?
have a tool called Big Brain. So it's like our let's say source of records tool. It's a BI tool. It's also an operations tool. So like, so that's different from classic BI tools. Like it just doesn't only show you the information. You can act on the information you see there. So for example, if you want an A/B test, you open it up and in Big Brain, and it gives you all the measures you need to make a decision, and it's a unified view that is really good. It's like very clear. You see if it's like here or here, and people can make the same choices over and over. And then we improve the tool, everyone improves.
Yep.
Okay, so we took from day one a huge effort to invest in building such a tool because of that, to allow people, and that's a big part of transparency, it's a big part of ownership. You need supporting operations
Infrastructure,
for it.
of course.
Yeah, so without that, you can't give freedom
going.
because it doesn't like. We always give the comparison if you have like a very skyscraper
Yeah.
and you're on the rooftop with the bicycle, okay? So it's not like the best way to like let someone off with a bicycle on the rooftop, right? Like they can fall.
Yeah.
But what if you put like a 2 meters guard, okay, like around it? Then you feel safe. It's not a problem. So that's what we're trying to do with Big Brain, kind of like iron out all the insights into something people can understand. That takes a lot of effort.
Makes sense. Make it sound so easy.
And we invested in it from like when we were 5 people. We did that because it meant a lot to us because we didn't want a lot of analytics tools, like you look at them and then you have excuses. Oh, that information didn't pass. Oh, that is a problem because it takes like 4 hours for the data to aggregate. So we didn't want any, like we wanted our own database, our own data that we can go in and really figure it out so we can learn. So it, maybe
sense.
like failing in 2 other startups helped in that point.
Makes sense.
So,
So, Roy, it seems so easy, right? So you just measure everything and then you go 1850, 120. Is that how it always was?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, like,
Tell us about some of the early struggles.
yeah,
maybe.
so we, so like when you look at the graph and it's growing, like every month is a struggle, like really every month, because like to grow, to double or more than double, it means that if we want to double this year, we need to do in 1 year what we've done throughout the life of the company. That's what it means. So it cannot be the same things that we've done until now that will make us succeed this year. So you need to break everything. And you have like, there is a nice visual thing of how you build a car, and people think it's like right, you see the wheels, and then they put the top, and then, you end up having a car, and say, no, you start with a skateboard, a scooter, a bicycle, and a car. But the thing is that when you move to the scooter, you need to break the skateboard.
Yeah.
And that's how to do what most people find comfortable is like decorate the skateboard, put an engine on it, and like keep the and you need to break things. So that's really hard. But it's the first stage that is the most hard is like reaching product market fit. Like that struggle of like figuring out what is the product that people actually want to buy opposed to a product that solves the problem. So we started with a product that solves the problem, but it just like was really hard to adopt.
Yeah.
So we got thrown out of a lot of companies for like you come and pitch them and they tell you like, okay, sounds really interesting, and then nothing happens because they don't want it. So that phase of product market fit is probably the hardest. So it does get easier in many ways over time.
Is there one thing, as you think back on the early days and that seeking that product market fit, is there one thing that you feel like you did wrong, or you wish you would have gotten to quicker, or is it sort of
I did like a million things wrong.
grind?
but like in hindsight, what I would the most painful stuff was, I think, in hiring the right people. And like there is like I interviewed like hundreds of people, and then I met someone who taught me how to hire PMs, product managers, and then I understood that I didn't know how to interview people before. And I can mention it now. It's not that simple because I needed a lot of training and I failed all the time, and he wasn't happy with me, but I learned eventually. But it goes like this: you have a list of qualities you want, and then you need to, in one interview, find a really good signal on each one of those traits. So, for example, communication. Are you a good communicator? So, for project manager, for product manager, they need to communicate well.
Of course.
So, and then at the end of an interview, you can say, okay, is he good or not at communicating, and how strong is my signal? And then, like, you build an interview to get all the signals in an hour, and then, you teach it to everyone, and when a few people do the same interview, you get like such a strong signal that it's for
so people issues and hiring, and I guess that's not different from today. As you think about the challenges that 120+ million revenue run rate company growing fast, still the biggest problem?
Yeah, obviously, but like the pains of hiring the wrong person is hard, and then you need to sometimes part ways. And the thing that wasn't intuitive for me is that if something is not working well with someone, usually when you part ways with them, it's like you understand it's the best thing for both sides. Because a lot of like early stage managers try to like improve people a lot, and like sometimes the other side doesn't want it. It's not a good fit. So that's like a good tip to try and figure that out. And also with investors, by the way, if we did something wrong, is like raising money. I think now we're relatively good at it.
Yeah, I would say so.
But in terms of process and everything, but we weren't good in the beginning. We got like we're from Israel, and I'm not really proud to say, but we got no from every investor in Israel, and there are a lot of them there. So well, except the ones who said yes, but that's like two. But like we really weren't that good at that because we didn't understand how to explain what we know very well in the beginning. Because you understand it really well, and you need to take someone who meets like a few startups a day to where you are, And how investors think is now, and since we learned that well, is how we think about the business. Is like, what are the risks? Where do we want to go? Like, we want to reach, let's say, next year we want to double again, which we want to double again. So what are the risks of getting there, working it backward, explaining that, and seeing that from that perspective, you understand that the product, when in the beginning we talked a lot about the product, is not the only thing they want to talk about. They want to see the risks, and then you debug it. Like, that's how we got good at it. Like, we were always two in every meeting, and the one who didn't talk
Listen.
listened, and then after the meeting, we sat down and identified all the risk factors that the investors saw and were not addressed, and then improved. And that's like proved to be really good.
Great. Well, I'm afraid we're out of time, but Roy, thank you very much for your time. I had 20 more questions, but I'll let the audience chase you afterwards and ask away. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys.